Hello and welcome to today's 10-minute overview of spreadsheet management. For a more in-depth look into spreadsheet management and to see a demonstration of how the Aperity solution can help you manage your spreadsheets, please watch the full Spreadsheet Management 101 webinar found on Aperity's YouTube page. And while you're there, don't forget to subscribe so that you can stay up to date on the latest end-user computing news. During today's webinar, we will touch upon the following key spreadsheet management questions. The goal for the webinar is for you to leave with a better understanding of the risks that the spreadsheets pose to your organizations, how to identify and assess the spreadsheets that pose the most risk, and how to place controls over your business-critical spreadsheets to manage that risk. To begin, let's take a look at why we still continue to use Microsoft Excel spreadsheets today, given the availability of countless other tools and software applications. First, with Excel, there's a low cost with a low barrier to entry. Almost all companies will already have Microsoft Office with Excel installed on all of their employees' computers, making it available to nearly everyone. Secondly, Excel is highly flexible. Whereas updates to more formal IT systems and applications are often a lengthy process, Excel allows end users to make updates on the fly and adjust to real-time conditions. Excel is also easy to use. Everyone thinks that they're proficient in Excel, and for good reason, because it's made to be easy. Next, Excel is pervasive. Excel has been used for so long that spreadsheets are inevitably already heavily ingrained in key processes, and replacing them would be too difficult and time-consuming. Excel files are also often interconnected. Spreadsheets are often used to pull information from disparate systems together, connecting data that would otherwise be siloed. And finally, Excel is often used to fill gaps that IT systems can't. Spreadsheets will always fill the void between what a business needs today and what the formal installed IT systems can provide. So why do so many spreadsheets contain errors? The reason is because spreadsheets are an inherently risky tool. The first reason why spreadsheets are inherently risky is due to human error. End-user computing applications such as Microsoft Excel are created by end users. These end users are humans, and humans are prone to mistakes. The second reason why spreadsheets are risky is because they are susceptible to fraud. Because of the ease of use, which program, code, and data is mixed, spreadsheets are the perfect environment for perpetrating fraud. Thirdly, overconfidence can lead to errors. Simply put, because spreadsheet users do not go looking for errors, they don't find them. Spreadsheets are also susceptible to misinterpretation. Excel spreadsheets that are ingrained in business processes have usually been developed many years ago, oftentimes by people other than the ones who are actually using the spreadsheet. The end users oftentimes do not understand the underlying computations of the spreadsheet and merely accept the results. If the results are incorrect, many times the end users don't even know they are incorrect. And finally, with so many different users making updates to spreadsheets and sending different versions to different people, it's easy to use the wrong version, which can lead to mistakes. From the previous examples, you can see how critical spreadsheets that are used in key business processes can cause serious issues if not controlled. But not all spreadsheets are created equal, and some pose more risk to your organization than others. So how do you go about finding those business-critical spreadsheets? The first step is to identify all spreadsheets in use. This is no small feat, as you must go through all business processes to identify where and how they are supported by spreadsheets. Once all spreadsheets are identified, you must then assess each spreadsheet to determine the risk it poses to the business. To assess the risk rating, it is best practice to consider two factors. The first factor is complexity. How complex is your spreadsheet? Does it contain macros, links to other spreadsheets, complex formulas, etc.? Depending on how your business defines complexity, you then assign a complexity rating. The second factor is business impact. Business impact is typically defined as if this spreadsheet failed, what would be the impact to the business? By taking your complexity rating and business impact rating, you are then able to determine an overall risk rating for your spreadsheets. Once your high risk and critical spreadsheets have been identified, you must then build and maintain a comprehensive inventory of those critical spreadsheets to be stored and monitored in a central location. This then allows you to assign a risk profile to each spreadsheet so that you can assign it the appropriate controls to mitigate the risks that each spreadsheet poses. Now that you know how to identify your business critical spreadsheets that pose the most risk, what are some best practices to help control those risks? The first key control is change control. It is critical for businesses to be able to quickly understand the significant changes between any two versions of a spreadsheet, prove that the spreadsheet is working as intended, and prove that the spreadsheet received formal sign-off by an appropriate individual affirming that the changes were appropriate. Next is version control. You must know where your files are stored and which version is the latest and greatest. Without proper versioning controls, there's risk in using an incorrect spreadsheet. The third key control is access control. You must be sure that only authorized users are making changes to your spreadsheet. And finally, data integrity control. You must ensure that the integrity of your spreadsheets have not been compromised and that there are no errors in the spreadsheet that may cause issues down the line. By identifying your spreadsheets, assessing each one in terms of risk, inventorying the most critical, and then applying the appropriate spreadsheet controls to mitigate that risk, you now have the framework in place to manage your spreadsheet risk. This all sounds good in practice, but the question now is, how do you actually apply this framework? How do you plan to identify the tens of thousands of spreadsheets and their different versions in use within your organization? How do you then go about assessing each individual spreadsheet for the complexity and business impact? How do you plan to build out an inventory? And then even if you could build out an inventory, do you expect your end users to manually comply with the key spreadsheet controls? Without a technology enabler, it is nearly impossible to adhere to the spreadsheet management framework and be confident in the results. This is where Aperity comes in. Aperity enables your organization to establish a spreadsheet management framework by streamlining your processes and taking away the manual steps involved in reducing your spreadsheet risk. Aperity's discovery and risk assessment feature will automatically scan any folder location within your organization and display all Excel spreadsheets that reside in those locations. In addition to identifying all Excel spreadsheets, the discovery scan will also pull back file information like the size, presence of macros, number of external links, number of formulas, and so on. These properties are then used by Aperity to automatically apply a complexity rating to each and every file that is scanned. By using the discovery and risk assessment feature, you have automatically found and determined the complexity of all of the spreadsheets within your organization. Aperity's inventory management system then allows you to assign an overall risk rating to all spreadsheets and aggregate those critical spreadsheets into a central repository for a comprehensive view into your critical spreadsheet environment. The inventory module allows users to fill out questionnaires to help determine the business impact of the spreadsheet, as well as capture other pertinent file information like owner, business process, department, and reviewer. Aperity's inventory system allows you to quickly identify the risk profile of all of your spreadsheets and determine the appropriate level of controls required to manage the associated risks. Once you've identified the risk profile of your spreadsheets, Aperity's active management solution will automatically apply the change control, version control, access control, and data integrity control required to mitigate risks. Aperity's change control allows you to compare any two versions of your spreadsheet and see what changed down to the cell level. Through Aperity's built-in workflow, those changes can then be sent to an appropriate reviewer who will be responsible for reviewing those changes and providing sign-off that the changes made were accurate. Through Aperity's unique fingerprinting technology, you will never lose sight of a spreadsheet again. Regardless of whether the file changes names, changes locations, is copied, or emailed, Aperity will maintain the version history of the file and help you determine which version is the latest and greatest. Through Aperity's version history pane, you will also be able to see all users who are modifying the spreadsheets to ensure that only authorized personnel have access. And finally, Aperity's integrity check tool analyzes any spreadsheet and identifies areas within the spreadsheet that may contain errors or go against Excel best practices. Without a technology enabler like Aperity, a robust and dependable spreadsheet management framework is not possible. In summary, spreadsheets are and will continue to be a critical part of most, if not all, organizations. Although spreadsheets are an extremely powerful tool, they do come with inherent risks that can have significant repercussions if not managed. In order to mitigate that risk, you first have to identify those spreadsheets that are business critical, place them into an inventory, and then apply controls over those critical spreadsheets. Without a technology enabler to facilitate that process, spreadsheet management is time-consuming and nearly impossible. With the Aperity platform, however, we automate the processes required to stand up and sustain an effective spreadsheet management policy, and we empower you to confidently harness the power of your spreadsheet. To see Aperity in action, please check out the full Spreadsheet Management 101 webinar on Aperity's YouTube site. Thank you.